Touch mine.
Welcome to part B of this week's episode of Whoscussion here on Far and we're going to be talking about the comic book story Tooth and Claw, and we're going to finish it with what the heck was the name of that story again? Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction. I've got the TARDIS wiki page right here. Why don't I just read it? Anyway, Tooth and Claw, take us away, Harry Scully.
All right. Yeah, not to be confused with the TV story at all. Although it does, I guess it does kind of bear some resemblance and kind of come some ways. This is the story where the Doctor becomes a vampire. One of his hated things of all time.
Yeah,
it's quite cool, actually. Yeah, this is a setback. Just during the Second World War, or just before.
Just before.
Yeah, where there's some interesting things going on with the state of the world, and there is a sort of secretive island that seems to be hidden away from all people, kind of like, I guess, like an island in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, kind of sort of way. I don't claim to know exactly where it is, but it's interesting. And there's a guy who's built a mansion on this island. That seems to be sort of kept away from all the other powers. Like the nations don't seem to be completely aware of it. So they haven't, anyone there will be safe from the war, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and apparently the only time it was ever documented was a cartographer who put his documentation in the Library of Alexandria, which got destroyed.
Yeah, which is interesting to point out. But yeah. Anyway, the people coming onto this island, the way that they need to the way that they give up, or basically allow themselves to get onto the island, the owner of the island and the owner of the mansion, and the only way that he will let them stay is if they give them something very unique in particular ways. And there's some interesting items that are given up, but one in particular, given by Faye, is a whistle that can summon the Doctor's TARDIS.
Now, I'm just going to interject before we carry on there. There is this woman who is the archetypical beauty, and she managed to get the Pope's undies.
Yes. That is one of the unique items, yes. Yeah, there's some real interesting things in this. It would really pay to read this one if you don't want to read any of the other comic stories. This one in particular is really, really interesting. Some really curious story elements to it. Like monkeys that seem to be kind of very Planet of the Apes-esque, where they're a little bit more intelligent, like emerging intelligence. But they also seem to be it seems to be, I guess, explained that they basically like this because of the vampire blood that gets into them.
Yeah,
which is quite interesting as well. Like vampire monkeys. Yeah, this I really like the whole idea and story behind this. And the array of characters that go on, and I really like the artwork as well.
Yeah,
because it's really played down. It's quite interesting. But yeah,
it's so Hammer horror.
It really is. Yeah.
It's so Hammer horror. I love it. It's got that Universal Studios monster movie look. It's so good. It's like all the posters from that era, the late 30s to the early 50s era of monster movies. That's what the artwork is here. There's such an amazing poignancy to the artwork, and I love even when everybody gets turned into a vampire, and they've got the archetypical beauty. She's like, ah, But the
Yeah,
classic, like on like the creature of the Black Lagoon look, that she looks
yeah,
exactly like her when the monkeys come to attack the Doctor, and she does
yeah,
that exact look from the creature of the Black Lagoon. It's absolute pure genius, and it's such a treat to the eye.
yeah.
This comic panel.
And when they start looking like vampires, just
Yeah,
the way that they get like sullen and the sharper features. The thing is that it does make it a bit interesting because they've drawn eighth Doctor very well. So sometimes when they look like when they've turned vampiresque, they kind of look like the Eighth Doctor has gone sort of vampiresque because his features are already pretty sharp. You just need to
yeah.
add some sharp teeth, and that's basically a vampire right there. So it's quite interesting it's an interesting thing to like. You have to go back and be like, who is actually that? Oh, it's that person. Okay.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, especially when surprisingly when Faye became a vampire, I mistook her for the Eighth Doctor.
Yeah, yeah. That's because they got the long the girly hair,
Mm.
and they get their features sharp, and then they have sharp teeth. It's like holy crap. But yeah, um, there's some other interesting things in the story that I really like to point out is the story that goes on, the spooky story that he talks about
Yeah,
like a one of his ancestors like became a great pirate, like a vampire pirate sort
yeah.
of deal. Like I'd really like to hear about that story as well. A vampire pirate, that's cool. Um, but then like the fact that like there's a chalice of his blood that's just sitting in a glass jar,
Yeah.
sitting in a glass box, and he's just kept, and he's like saying that it's still liquid and not dried. I'm like, how is that? What? How is that not
Vampire
coagulated?
blood.
I know. It's like that's like the biggest interesting thing about that. It's like, whoa, that blood hasn't coagulated. That's crazy. Uh, but yeah, um, it plays out like a real monster-esque movie. But then, of course, right at the end, it's like we're actually a sci-fi.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
my God. Yes, it's such a science
here's
fiction ending.
yeah, it's like here is a spaceship that I'm guessing what like they say that it's a cucuberite,
Yeah.
a living machine that runs on blood. I'm guessing that it came from the vampires that
Yeah,
they
because
made
the
the thing.
Doctor implies it's vampire technology.
Yeah, because I mean, no other race I can imagine would have done such things. But then that also explains exactly why it was capable of turning humans into vampire-esque
Yeah.
things. It's interesting that it was able to turn a Time Lord into one,
Mm.
because I imagine that Time Lords would have figured themselves a way of not doing that. But you know,
I love though. There's that one panel where the Doctor says that I've become the one thing my father used to frighten me of.
yeah,
Frighten me
that's
with
also really quite
vampires, and I was
interesting.
just like, wow, shit. His dad used to scare the shit out of him, even about talking about vampires. I'm like,
Yeah,
man, Time Lord kids do not have a good childhood at all.
they really don't. They get told about all these terrible things that exist from what's the toclophane to vampires to everything, and they don't get like the
Zagreus.
yeah, Zagreus, all that other stuff. They don't get the standard like, oh, it's just a story sort of deal. They like, no, these things have existed before or currently still exist. And you're going to protect the universe from them. So you better start dealing with it. And then when you're 8, we're going to mess with your brain.
Oh man, it's such. And the thing is, it's not like us. We have the benefit of knowing it's fake.
Yeah,
Time Lord kids are told the truth as
yeah.
children.
Like, this is true. This is for reals.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's genius. One interesting thing here is Izzy's life choices actually save her because Izzy's a vegetarian, so she doesn't eat the polluted meat,
Yeah.
and she doesn't like alcohol, so she
So she
doesn't
doesn't
drink
drink the wine.
polluted wine, and so it actually saves her. And it's pretty great. They make a reference to Izzy's first story,
Mm.
where they meet the grandfather of Waywood, Marwood, sorry, of who is the gentleman that gets killed by the Celestial Toymaker, or crushed by the Celestial Toymaker in puppet form,
Mm.
and Izzy's first ever story, which the name escapes me at the moment. Endgame. There we go,
Yeah.
Endgame. And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really great callback, and I love that like Izzy's life choices have saved her here, and I think that's something I'd love to see play out on television, is the fact that a
Yeah.
companion's life choices are what saves them.
Yeah, that would be quite interesting, especially when it comes to like veganism and vegetarianism,
Yeah, yeah,
and especially in the world that we have at the moment.
yeah,
Like that's yeah, it's quite
yeah.
a
She's actually saved by vegetarianism. Like it's
yeah,
great.
it is quite interesting. Um, yeah. There's another thing in here that gets pointed back to actually, particularly into one of the old stories, and particularly into Endgame, is one of the characters. It looks like Marwood because it's obviously drawn by the same comic guy. He's drawn it in to look very much like Marwood, and she points out that hey, is that Marwood? And then it's like his grandfather probably, but he kind of looks like him, doesn't it? It's like yeah, all
Yeah,
right,
it looks a lot like him. But like how he's like flirting with Izzy, and he's like playing footsies with her and stuff,
yeah.
and he's like totally hitting her up, and then the doctor's like, "Who knows? You might be Marwood's granny." It's like, Doctor, come on! Like the doctor, the eighth Doctor knocks it out of the park, man. He's just he's great.
Yeah.
He's like a cool older brother. Like the eighth Doctor is the universe's cool older brother.
Yeah, I really, really, really am sad. Like every single time we go into the Eighth Doctor stories, I'm really sad that there was not TV canon for the Eighth Doctor.
Yeah.
It just increases my depression every time we read these or listen to these for the Eighth Doctor. Yeah.
Talking about the Eighth Doctor and his canon, this again isn't paid for, but coming out in October is Doom Coalition 3, featuring River Song yet again. And
Yes.
last month, just at the end of last month, so within the last 2 weeks, they've released an Eighth Doctor story that's part of the Classic Doctor's New Monsters box set, Volume 1, where the Eighth Doctor explains why the Sontarans were not allowed into the Time War. So definitely look into picking that up.
Oh
I
yeah.
suggest people do it digitally because digitally is so much cheaper, and you're still supporting the content that Big Finish makes. Yeah, with that plug out of the way, we'll return to Tooth and Claw.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's interesting that the vampires the robot makes can die of old age
Mm.
because the Vane's grandfather dies, and not only that, they're able to have kids, which I
Mm.
found interesting about these vampires.
Well, I guess they're
Um,
not like that's the sort of deal is that they're not properly turned. That's why they're
yeah,
capable of being turned back as well, and
yeah,
that's why I guess that would also explain why the Doctor was able to be one in the first place. If it's sort of a weaker controlling
strange.
thing, it's not something
Yeah,
that the Time Lord sort of completely removed the ability to have happen.
yeah.
So I guess that kind of explains it.
Yeah, so it's quite a bit. And I love the artwork, and I love the hammer horrorness. It's so universal monster movie. Like just again, this is
Mm.
available on Comixology. Another plug here. Not paid again, but it's available on Comixology and Comic Books Unlimited, which are both apps that you can get to your phone, and also have a PC browser interface. So definitely look into picking these up. They're written Marvel, and they're part of the Marvel multiverse. Think about that. The
Oh
Whoniverse
yeah.
is part of Marvel. Hell yeah! Iron Man can go see the Doctor. Alrighty. So with that, we move on to chain reaction. Changes. So this story is I had to listen to it twice because I felt like I didn't get it,
Yeah,
and then
there's a lot of just description of what's going
yeah,
on rather than the things actually happening. So it is a little hard to follow. Honestly, I had to listen to it twice and
yeah,
go over the written down plot in TARDIS Wiki to
yeah.
completely
I had to
understand
do
what
the
was going on there.
exact same thing. It's
Yeah.
really complicated to understand what's going on, and essentially, right, the Doctor's scarf is a time loop.
Well, he's playing it out like a time loop. Like
Ah,
he
right.
he sees that there's something is going wrong, so he's tied up his scarf to simulate that. I'm guessing, or just to show that element of what's going on.
Right.
And then as he's like unraveling that, he's unraveling his scarf to show what he's doing. It's really curious.
Yeah.
The story it doesn't. it feels linear, but it doesn't seem like it is when you really take a look into it.
There's three loops.
Yeah.
Time loops thrice in the story. It's first ever ruined straight away in the first minute of narration. The first minute of narration, it's completely destroyed, and the Doctor is rolling this coin, and the coin is supposed to hit a pigeon, but it doesn't hit a pigeon, and it ends up causing this disaster because the security guard talks to the Doctor. When the Doctor unravels his scarf and everything starts from scratch again, the Doctor manages to get the pigeon to distract a boy playing his... Now, I must add here, he says, the narration says MP3 player, which means we're in contemporary Earth with the Fourth Doctor. I would love to see that in a visual medium. Probably animation. Obviously, Tom Baker doesn't look like Tom Baker anymore.
Well, not even that. Sarah Jane Smith is there as well.
Yeah, in contemporary times. So it would be young Sarah Jane Smith, which is funny because, older Sarah Jane Smith is living in London, so I really hope that...
I bet that they run into each other at some point.
This young Sarah, she's older Sarah's
I imagine that older Sarah would absolutely not, because she would be too afraid of
time
stuff that she would every time she saw somewhere that she remembered from her young time, she would be like, "Oh crap, I'm going to be here very shortly. I need to get out of here.
I need to leave." And that's something I've always wanted Doctor Who to do, is for the Doctor to be like, "Wait, there's a younger me," and have a body double of Tom Baker or John Pertwee or whatever just run past. I'd love to see that so much. As a body double of one of the older Doctors runs across, and then you just see this explosion from where he was, and the Doctor's like, that what it was to be young, and then continues. I'd love to see that. I don't know why that hasn't happened.
Just randomly for no reason. If it was just in a mini-sode or something, it would make more sense. That it just doesn't really fit into a story, but I still would absolutely love to see that.
You know how they do in New Who, they do those montage episodes where it's snippets of the Doctor's life. I hate to say Love and Monsters, but they do it in Love and Monsters. But I'd love to see a Doctor run past the current TV Doctor, and obviously they don't have these body doubles. But it'd be great to have a body double run by, or even if it's a person wearing wearing a green mask and they paint an old Doctor using CG onto them, and they run past. It would be so cool to see that, and just Peter Capaldi being I didn't like that one, and then.
Or even just have a known sequence that has a bunch of possible shot areas that the Twelfth Doctor could be hidden at, and just see that moment from a different angle would be quite interesting as well.
Yeah, it'd be great, especially something that's meant to be maybe one of the episodes that were based in the future in Classic Who, to have Peter Capaldi see the Classic Doctor and run off, and he's "Oh, that's right, I'm already here." And then, he gets this distress signal to save somebody, and realizes that it was moon base or something, and sees the second Doctor.
He's lands his TARDIS, and then he gets out, and sees himself through the glass in Moonbase, and then turns and sees the TARDIS, and is like, "Oh," and then climbs back in and
leaves, and he's just "Oh, I was already here." That would be. I don't understand why that hasn't been done yet, especially with the budget Doctor Who has now and the power of special effects. We can do these stories. You can have a CGI Jamie McCrimmon, Zoe, and Second Doctor, and that would be fantastic. But anyway, going back to Chain Reaction, a little bit of a fan tangent there. But going back to this, the Doctor basically he keeps trying to make these certain events happen. Apparently, there's a couple that's meant to fall in love and have a family. One named Sam. I don't know why they tell us Sam's name.
Yeah,
we get told Sam's name first. It's such a random little key moment. But basically, Sam and the woman's name is Emma, I believe. They end up getting together. And obviously the Doctor's setting up something, so I wonder if the kid's meant to be important in the future, or the kid met the first and second Doctor, and Tom Baker's there to make sure Time actually gets that kid to be there, or whatever it is. That situation is important. But the Doctor is actually doing this event to basically witness that there is this human being who's born time sensitive.
Well, at least born unaffected by time.
Yeah.
Almost immune to time.
Almost immune.
He is sort of. He is himself a. He is a fixed point in time, or at least somewhat of that, like in the same way that Time Lords are.
Yeah.
That he doesn't affect. If he gets into a complicated time event, he would be able to change the aspects of it.
Yeah.
That sort of deal, which is quite an interesting idea. Is actually one that I have also mused with in my own science fiction writing, but one that's not published, so I can't really give you a plug to that, I'm afraid.
Well, when it is, we'll definitely plug that. Annotation in the description below for future Floyd.
Yeah, that someone in particular is immune to time. That a time traveler trying to fix something would have hassles with him, which is basically what the deal is that the Doctor's trying to fix time, and the security guard, who is apparently immune to time, is just messing it up because he's basically doing what the Doctor does.
Yeah, exactly. He's interfering. It's so great. And basically, in the end of the story, Sarah Jane Smith comes and is like, "Hey, Doctor, how's it been?" But I love how, like, when you get the inside look at Dennis Brown, the security guard's mind, he thinks the Doctor's a crazy homeless person. I was like, "That's perfect. That's so great." He's like, "Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Are you okay, sir?" And what's great is the Doctor fixes time, but at the same time manages to pay for jelly babies. Like, I'm just like, that's so the Fourth Doctor, because he is this sort of, like, universal bohemian. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. This is another one of those stories you can pick up or you can listen to for free, rather, on the Big Finish SoundCloud. Linked in the description below. Definitely, I thoroughly suggest giving this a listen. Anything you'd like to add?
It's really bite-sized, 50 minutes long. You can listen to it on your smoke break. That's basically it.
Yeah.
It's just if you're really bored at work and you want to listen to something for 15 minutes, you got it. You know?
Yeah, here it is. It's right here, one neat little package.
Yeah. Especially considering that Doctor Who is probably not back on air for a little while. You've got a lot of time.
Yeah. I love seeing that these days on Doctor Who, like, forum pages. They're like, "Oh, what are we going to do without Doctor Who? Without any new Who?" I'm like, Big Finish exists, right? The comics exist, right?
There is countless amounts of Doctor Who.
And that's when I realize people who post on those things are clearly, like, they're not Whovians, they're just fans of the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a difference.
There's nothing wrong with being just a fan of the TV show.
Yeah, exactly. There's no downgrading there.
It's just you need to complain about the right things here.
Yeah. There is new Doctor Who. It's actually daily. That's the crazy thing. Like, how are we supposed to Whoscuss this when there is new content every day?
We're going to be doing this for the rest of our lives,
until the day I die, because I know Harry Skelly will outlive me. Until the day I die, we're going to be doing Whoscussion.
I'm living forever, so that's
You're seeing through time.
So I will be doing this for the entirety of time. So leave a bit for that, guys.
Alrighty. Well, with that out of the way, thank you everybody for listening this week. Thank you, Harriet Skelly, as always, for tuning in with me. And you guys all enjoy your weekend.
Bye.